Kids.
Yeah,
It is hard, right? I've got 2 kids. It's hard.
They're amazing. So my youngest is 3.5 months old, and my oldest is just turned 5 years old. So I'm definitely more exhausted on a Monday morning than I am on a Friday night.
It's true, right? I go to tennis tournaments with my kid, and I come back and I said, "This is harder than work."
It's so much harder.
The Boston Herald had an article. It said that you are the key to softening your father's image, and that the kids are the key to, but more specifically you. You've read those things before. Is there a misperception about your dad? Because
I think people don't see his warmth and his compassion, and he has tremendous warmth and tremendous compassion, and he just tends to show those sides of himself in more intimate settings, and he's a very private person in that regard. So for me, it's much easier for me to express all the amazing things about him as a person, as a father, and he's probably more reserved in terms of expressing those things himself.
I one time was in your dad's office and we were talking about Twitter, and I expressed a strong opinion, and you jumped right in. You had strong opinions about it. We were just talking generally about social media. And it seems like there's no hesitation to really tell him how you feel. You really just lay it out on the line.
That's true. And he does the same to me, so.
You said your father, this is interesting because everything in politics is broken down demographically. So you have the black vote, the Hispanic vote, the Asian vote, the millennial vote, women, men, and you said that your father lives gender equality. That's an interesting line. What did you mean by that?
He does, because my father doesn't think in terms of demographic. He thinks in terms of the person. So when he meets somebody, he thinks about, are they capable? Do they have drive? Do they have passion? Do they have vision? He looks for the same quality in everyone. So it's completely irrelevant to someone what their gender is. And I know that obviously from personal experience, the way he raised me alongside of my brothers, he never differentiated. He never suggested that the boys go out with him on the weekends to construction sites and, you know, I go hang out with mom at the department store. You know, that he never played into stereotypes. So, you know, as long as we were interested, he always wanted us to be around. So I grew up walking construction jobs by his side. And so I think even just in my earliest years, he never typecasted me by gender. And then I later on went to work in his company where I was surrounded by incredible female role models at the highest levels who were accomplishing incredible things. So it's not how he operates.
When you see every election year, I can tell you what Democrats will say about whoever the Republican candidate is. It's predictable as the day is long. Republicans are racist, they're xenophobic, they're homophobic, they want to poison the air, water, and they want to take your grandmother in a wheelchair and throw her over a cliff. Those ads will come. Is it hard and painful to hear these things that have been said and will be said about your father?
It is very difficult, absolutely. The negative advertisement, the spin, but I take comfort in the fact that I know my father. So there's no question for me, which in some ways makes it harder, because so much of what's out there that's negative is fiction. But, you know, at least I know in my heart the man, and so that helps.
Your brother Donnie once said to me that he wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. I mean, you graduated with honors from Wharton. You have multiple businesses that you've started that are successful in and of their own right. And he said there was no option. He insisted on doing your best in school, doing your best in business. A lot of kids, and I'm sure you probably grew up with some of them, grew up with money in New York, and they don't turn out so well.
Well, I think he raised us with a sense of gratitude for the privilege that we have, and we all recognize that we grew up very fortunate. We weren't spoiled in the sense that I think we were grateful for everything that we had, but we were spoiled on a relative basis to many people around the world. So I think he taught us to be very grateful, and I think he taught us not to be entitled. And I think that's a key thing. I think so many people I know, there's a sense of entitlement to have what their parents had earned. And he let us know that if we wanted a certain quality of life, we would have to work really hard to achieve it.
I saw pictures of you usually getting in a cab in New York, which is, I would assume that a lot of people would probably think you had a driver. My last question for you, and this is a question I've asked your dad a number of times. We've now doubled the national debt. President Obama's taken on more debt than every other president before him combined. 95 million Americans out of the labor force. That's the worst number since the 1970s. We have 14 million more Americans in poverty and on food stamps, and 1 in 5 American families do not have a single member of their family that has a job. I asked your father, how important is it to you to reach those people? When you're around him, when he's talking about running and before he ran and during this campaign, is that what motivates him? Because I don't hear him say enough that I want those people to be successful.
It's incredibly important to him. Almost half of this country can't come up with $400 in the event of an emergency.
Scary, right?
No savings. The sense of fragility financially is oppressive, and I think, you know, we're the first generation who aren't overly optimistic. The generation coming up behind us has the ability to do better than we did, or even at the same level, and that's got to change. So he's always had tremendous civic drive, but what's different now is that he just felt like he couldn't wait any longer. And he wants to help people, and he wants to help this country, and he knows what he's capable of doing. The only thing probably the thing my father dislikes the most is incompetence, and he sees so much of it, and he knows what this country has the potential to be.
All right, last question. Will you and your brothers go to the White House with him if he gets elected?
One day at a time. We're all very busy now running our family business, but you know, it is an unbelievable opportunity to create change on a major level, but Ivanka, we take it one day at a time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you.
At Douglas E. Show.
All right, joining us now with reaction from the Washington Examiner and contributor Lisa Booth, Trump campaign pollster, advisor Kellyanne Conway, and former Clinton pollster, Fox News contributor Doug Schoen. Kellyanne, I'm going to start with you because of the polling, and we'll go back to Frank Luntz too later, and he's got his focus group out there today. These kids are skyrocketing in every focus group, and they're amazing kids. I know them all. I mean, I've known Ivanka for a long time. It was my first interview. I know Don and Eric really well. They're great. They're all great in their own way. What an asset to Donald Trump.
And voters will look at the full measure of the man. They won't listen to one insult that the left puts out or one thing he said and how he said it 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They will look at the full measure of man. And Sean, can't we all agree that at the end of your life, if you've raised wonderful children who are productive, who are sincere, who are great family people in their own right, who are loving and generous of spirit, then you've lived a great life.
But, you know, it does. Mike Pence hit this hard tonight.
You can't fake good kids.
Really?
Great line.
Great line, right?
That you can't fake good kids, and you know, we all know it's true.
And I know Doug Schoen over there at the end of the table is, you see how powerful these kids are connecting.
Yeah, I do.
And it makes you nervous, doesn't it?
He's led a great life. He's raised great kids. That doesn't make him qualified to be president, and it doesn't make him more electable when Ted Cruz did what he did tonight, which was self-destructive and harmful to Donald Trump.
Well, you know something, but that's going to hurt Ted Cruz. That's not going to hurt Donald Trump. That hurt Ted Cruz. This building up pretty loud.
Secretary Clinton uses that against him. Watch.
It will end up hurting Ted Cruz. And what's so important here is we're seeing the Democrats and we're seeing Hillary Clinton do what they do best, the demagoguing, the character assassination. And that's what they're trying to do of Donald Trump. But it makes it really hard when you have these kids as third-party validators. And that's really what they're serving as. And when you have them speaking and telling these anecdotal stories about the father they know and the leadership, not just the father they know, but his leadership skills and his business acumen, that helps him tremendously this election.
May I just offer something? This whole idea of qualifications, which of course we weren't allowed to discuss in 2008 because the unqualified, inexperienced Barack Obama was running. So
yeah,
if
the
you
radical
dared say,
I kept talking about, that guy. Yeah,
if you dared say, Sean, on any show, well, I don't know if he has the experience. This is not an experience election; it's a change election. So now, if we talk about qualifications, if you walked around New York City and you asked people randomly, what are Donald Trump's qualifications? They will tell you right away. He's built fabulous businesses. He has great kids. He's employed thousands of people, many of them women. Ask people who were the constituents of Senator Hillary Clinton in New York. What were her three greatest accomplishments?
Doug knows this.
You want to get New Yorkers like stuttering right away? Just ask them.
Okay, I do a bit on my radio show, and I did this to poor Doug, although I let you off the hook more than I let others. But I'll say, all right, somebody will say, oh, Hillary has done this, this, and this. I'll say, all right, name 3 specific things she's done to improve the lives of the American people. Yeah. And then we play the Jeopardy music. Da, 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 da.
Cue the crickets.
And guess what? They can't answer. Nobody has answered that question. Ever.
Should we see if Doug can do it?
No. And you know what?
Do we have Jeopardy music on the...
I don't think we need it, but the truth is she does not have accomplishments. Hence, she's going to run a vicious negative